one size.
Hello and welcome to the Basketball Show. I'm Nathan Stremple. It's one apiece. The NBL Grand Final Series is underway. Once again this week I'm joined by Shane the Hammer Heel, and a little bit more conservative this week, just putting the puppies away.
That's
Steve
right.
Carfino.
They're still there though. They're making a nice indentation in my shirt here.
Big game coming up Friday night, Game 3, the decider, Steve. 3-game Grand Final Series. It could be decided this week in Perth. Lockie Reed's been on you.
I'm going to have a little bit of a rant right here because when you guys make mistakes, we tend to do it over again, but you kept that one in there. Okay, all right, Lockie, I got you in Perth. I heard you had something to say.
It's right. We're coming at you live. One take here. Big thank you to all our partners making it possible to be here. Thank you to Unibet, to Alcatel, the Daily Telegraph, and all their sister publications, care of News Corp, around the country, coming at you right here from throwbackstore.com.au. And as we get into it, we'll unpack Game 1 and Game 2 and what's to come shortly. But as usual, we kick off with Under the Hammer, Shane.
We certainly do, and I got a lot of friends in Perth. I really do, and
really?
yeah, I got it. I've been getting a bit of advice on social media.
People like you back.
Well, I did have one bloke tell me from Perth. He goes, "Oh, don't worry about them, mate. They're all the West Coast supporters that act like that. So Freo supporters don't act like it." But mate, we've got three comments that you're going to read to us, and we're going to show on screen.
You want to chat about some of the Wildcat supporters. This is care of Twitter. M. Simpson. Commentary was as expected today, but could not believe we had to hear about Bogut during a Melbourne-Perth grand final. Can we get a Bogut-free zone in games 3 to 5?
Can we get that sped up a bit with you? Read it, mate. Like, geez, how long was it going to take, Steve? I might get you to read the next one. But anyway, Em, a little bit of advice for you. I thought I'd just, bring out Bogut. He might not be wearing this number, but I thought I'd bring out Golden State just for you, because the rest of Australia, they're not just one-eyed, just waiting to hear about everything about Perth, because Andrew Bogut, the MVP, going to play for Golden State is pretty relevant news, I would have thought, across the country, and something worth talking about because it's really good for the NBL that we've got one of our guys going back, and well done, Andrew Bogut. We're with you.
Okay, no time for me to comment. No, I agree, though.
Yeah, thank you. Right. Speed it up, mate. Let's go.
Tim Gossage.
Big Bird.
Some serious cage rattling by an expert on the day of Game 1 NBL Grand Final Series, now asking why Perth Wildcats haven't re-signed coach Trevor Gleeson. Same expert claiming Cats lose, it's a choke. Has this expert got an axe to grind? Looks like a hammer, not an axe.
I've got a hammer to wield on you, Big Bird. When you say that about somebody, you've got to copy them in, mate, so then you get a chance to be able to respond. But it was good because on Twitter, people let me know that's what you've said. And a couple of things is that Trevor Gleeson's the most winning coach that you've got. He's taken his team to the top of the table. Why wouldn't you re-sign him? Anyway, some of your experts over there were the ones who broke the story. And they're the ones saying that an assistant coach is in the wings about to take over. So I think it is pretty relevant. Collingwood just re-signed Nathan Buckley. He's got a year to go on his contract. They signed him a year ahead. And here you guys are in the middle of your grand final and still haven't been able to get it done. As per choking, 30 out of the last 33 grand finals have been won with a home court. If you don't win, the Perth Wildcats don't win, make no mistake about it, it's a choke.
Some strong words there. And a final one, and I enjoy it. Often you have keyboard warriors that don't identify themselves on Twitter. Ben Wood gives you an extreme close-up. It's very clear who he's talking on Twitter.
Confident man, just rocking the big picture right there.
Says, really? Tariko White, Nick Kay, Wagstaff, and maybe Norton. Hey, Shane, do you watch when Perth play, or are you sucking Bogut's nutsack?
Oh, can you say that?
Reading your tweets are so funny.
He didn't go there. He didn't go at Bogut. He didn't go at the chook skin. I think he did. Ben,
kind of resembles it, though.
Come on, mate. Come on. You gave me a laugh, mate. You gave me a laugh. I appreciate the follow, mate. But for that, all three of you guys, you're under the hammer.
Well, apologies there if anyone's offended on some colourful language coming through there.
I was offended.
On the Twitter. It was directed at you.
Penny.
But while we're keeping it colourful, let's ramp things up. It's time for Carfino's call.
Okay, well, normally I go on a negative aspect, but I'm showing nothing but love to Trevor Gleeson from the Perth Wildcats, because earlier in the year,
you better not be picking on Perth.
I got in a little bit of trouble saying that Joey Wright was a prick. I didn't say he was a prick. I said playing for him, Well, I did say he was a prick. All right, so
he's a prick to play for.
Yeah, I said he's a prick to play for. Kind of the same thing. So you know, people are offended. But
that's as clear as mud.
Yeah, Trevor Gleason, he's gone to a whole new level. He is not just in my league; he has surpassed me. Because let me just show you this clip.
Step out of bounds.
And in response to that defensive change-up from Gleason, timeout Vickerman. You will imagine Vickerman will be talking to his...
What do you think?
He didn't.
You saw my lips saying Joey Wright was a prick to play for, but you didn't see Trevor's lips, but he said it. My man Trevor. There you go. There's my rant. I love it. What? I can have a positive rant.
Surely the Perth Wildcats aren't bragging about that, though. Surely they're having a little talk to Trevor. He looked really down after the game at the airport.
He's passionate. Yeah, he'll bounce back. He should be re-signed.
There it, folks. Shane's hammer, Carfino's call. We're going to jump back into the wrap-up of Game 1 and Game 2. Well, we've talked about the factors around the game, but let's get down to business. Grand Final Series. First of all, Game 1, Perth held serve at home.
Didn't see it, I fell asleep. It was like midnight.
It was late.
No, I did see it, but I sort of dozed off at three-quarter time. 81-71. They were pretty good, Perth. They did a good job, but it was a 16-2 run to start the third quarter that really was the difference in the game. Had that not happened, thought it was pretty even apart from that, but they were sensational during that period. I thought the foul trouble for Mitch McCarron was what really hurt Melbourne United as well. Only 18 minutes for him, but it was their role players for the Perth Wildcats that were able to step up. So all year I've been saying that they need a third import, because I'm not sure who that third scorer is after obviously their other two Americans with Cotton and White. But on this occasion, they had those guys step up for 39 points from their role players. And if they can step up like that, they don't need a third import. I'm just not sure they're going to do it all the time.
So you're calling Nick Kay first team All-NBA, All-NBL a role player then?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is a role player, and he plays great off of the superstars, and Perth they did that very well in Game 1. Game 2, and like I said, can they do that? Can they maintain that? And that's what it comes down to. Melbourne United have tremendous depth. Perth have tremendous depth too, but they don't have as much depth and go-to players who can step up like Melbourne United did in Game 2. I thought Melbourne United would pick up Game 2. They just looked like that. They just had a bad quarter, 16-2 run, and then it's pretty much an even game. And they're playing Perth. They like the atmosphere. They're hitting big shots in the first half. They had that little bit of a dry period. But Game 2 looked like Melbourne United can outlast them in a series.
Before we jump too far into Game 2, let's just keep you on Game 1 for a little bit. You talk about Perth extra scorers. If Melbourne are looking at their script, Bryce Cotton kept reasonably quiet in Game 1 there. 0 for 9 on the three-point line. If you're looking at Melbourne, that'd be a tick for them.
Yep.
So the fact Perth able to get it done with Bryce still being relatively quiet, is that danger signs going back to Game 3 now in Perth?
No, I don't think it is. I think that Bryce is capable of obviously having good scores. He had 19, but only 4 or 5 in the second half in the Game 2. But I'm not sure that those role players can get 39 points again. When you question me about whether Nick Kay's a role player, he's averaging 10 points and 6 rebounds in a grand final series. That's a good role player. He's a great player. I like his game. But when we're talking about guys that can step up and have game-winning performances, I'm not sure he's at that level yet, unless he can break out. And if he breaks out and these other guys consistently get it done, then I don't need a third input. Yeah. And that's what they're banking on, right?
Yeah, well, they're banking on that. And I think this is a great series. And, we both think, and I'm not sure what you think, Nathan, about Melbourne United being the better of the two teams. But Perth have home court advantage, and they are extremely tough to beat. You can't have a 16-2 run against the Perth Wildcats and still beat them on the road. So that's what they have in their favor, and that's why this is going to be a great series.
And on the back of that, Melbourne United's role players didn't stand up in Game 1. They just couldn't get it done. So you have, Casper Ware had 19 points. The rest of the starters had 25 points combined on the road. So the role players from both teams haven't been able to step up on the road. Happy to be able to get it done at home. It was like when I was playing in Europe. All the locals, they were great when the crowd was going for them and everything else, and they grow an extra foot. And But how are you when you get on the road? Who's going to stand up and be able to make big plays, make shots, and be able to get it done? I think Melbourne's going to be the team that has the ability to step up.
Well, that's game one. I'm interested whether Mitch Norton plays a factor too, whether just his fitness increases in game three. That's one to watch. We'll maybe talk about that a bit later. Let's move straight into game two. You've already talked about it, Steve. Flipping it back to the game in Melbourne, you talk about people standing up at home. Melbourne United took control and got the job done. Perth's biggest loss of the season in game two.
Yeah, I mean, key players stepped up. It was like, the role players in Perth played well in game. And the guys coming off the bench, able to do that. Well, Melbourne United was able to do that. But they just played with a little more pop, a little more intensity, and they looked as if they were going to get in that thing for 40 minutes, and they were never going to let down. And that's what we feel about their depth. Their depth just keeps coming at you with waves from both ends of the floor. They have scoring punch coming off the bench, and they have guys that can lock it down in several different positions.
The game changer I felt was, you mentioned McCarron in foul trouble in Perth, but also DJ Kennedy out with that injury and the cloud coming to game two. His rebounding for Melbourne was essentially in game two alongside Golding and Ware scoring as we expected.
Yeah, he was huge. I'm not sure how much of that there was really an injury in Perth, but he stepped up in game two. I said they only had 25 points combined in game one. They stepped up, had 46. The role players for Perth, 39 points in game one, 16 on the road. So that's what we're talking about. But DJ Kennedy was fantastic. Mitch McCarron was great as well. I love the way both those guys got rebounds, a couple of dribbles out in transition, explored, made things happen. And Perth really weren't as good in defensive transition as what they were in the half court.
I was glad you didn't say anything about DJ Kennedy going down. I was watching the game and I was like, get up. You know how you go out, Americans, get up. He's waiting for a standing ovation, I think, and then he played the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I know we're going to do another take.
Yeah,
I know that.
So you're becoming
that
Australian. You're becoming Australian.
We do about waiting for a standing ovation, though. Huge crowds for both sides at home there, and we'll touch on that later, a record crowd. But both sides having a significant home court advantage. Is that a factor as we look towards game three now?
Go ahead, Shane. I've been going first. I don't want to. It's your show. Go ahead, man.
Look, he's so humble now. He's got the T-shirt on, not the singlet. He's all quiet and reserved.
GQ,
of course,
I'm
there's
looking
a home.
classy over here. I'm being polite. Go ahead.
Of course, there's a home court advantage. 30 out of the last 33 winners at home. Perth have only won 3 of their last 10 on the road. It's a worry for them. But the thing for me is, can someone like Dave Barlow, that's averaged 2 points over the last 5 games, can he stand up on the road? Mitch McCarron not in foul trouble. I think that's going to be important for him. And can DJ Kennedy take his form from game 2 on the road as well? And I've just got that sense that they're going to feel good about themselves, and this is their biggest opportunity.
Let's break it down a little now. We see the same setup. Game 3, Friday night in Perth, 10:30 East Coast time, 7:30 local time in Perth, with that big time difference. And then Game 4 coming back on the Sunday afternoon. Big day in Melbourne.
Why don't we start it at 5 o'clock in Perth?
It's a Friday night. People can't get there from work.
5 o'clock? Surely they can get there, mate. Got trams and trains and everything over there, haven't they? It'd be 8 o'clock. It'd be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm only teasing, right? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
5 o'clock. It's all about the East Coast. Sorry to jump in.
That's right. And what about daylight savings? Is that a problem over there or what? No, go ahead. Let's go. Keep it moving.
Well, as we look at Game 3 and 4, you both called Melbourne to win the series. So Game 3 becomes crucial in that. Do you see that they can turn that Game 1 result around?
Well, they've got to win the series. They've got to do it, and they've talked about that. We've got to get a win. And sitting up with a lead in Game 1, that was an opportunity right there that squandered with giving up 16-2 run. But they've only got so many. When you play against a great team, just like I'm going to go into another sport here, just like you're playing against Pete Sampras, and on the second serve, you get 3 opportunities to beat a great player, and he hits it right on the tee, 111 miles an hour. That's what it's like. You cannot have a mental lapse against the Perth Wildcats at home if you want to get a victory. If you have to get a victory to win the series there.
Well, both teams are unbelievable at home, but if you've got to analyse the chances of who is a better chance to get a win on the road, there's no doubt it's Melbourne United. It's just whether Perth are that strong at home that Melbourne can't get on over the line, and then everyone holds serve at home, Perth win a championship.
Tell me this, is it a factor that Melbourne haven't got over the line so far this season? They had the controversial double overtime game, then they had the Casper Ware miss layup down the stretch. Does that play in their mind that they haven't been able to get it done thus far?
No, I reckon they feel like they should have won 2 games. So they'll be feeling like we've had the chances, we've let it slip, we've got momentum now. So I think they'd be feeling great going back to Perth.
Oh, exactly. And that, and they were sitting there just in the driver's seat in Game 1 looking as comfortable as possible. It comes down to knocking down shots. And any of these games, there'll be no different than knocking down shots in a big game. But Melbourne United, they look very comfortable. They don't let, you've seen people go to Perth. I've seen New Zealand go there and lose, and they had guys that looked real rattled under those circumstances. I didn't think Melbourne United looked rattled at all. They got outplayed in game 1, but they didn't look rattled.
So final thoughts ahead of game 3 and 4 then. Are we going to see a game 5, or as you've predicted, is this Melbourne winning game 3 and game 4 and the championship's done in 4 and staying with Melbourne United?
Yeah, I'm staying with it. I really think Melbourne have a legitimate chance of winning this game, and then I think they'll be way too good. I don't think Perth's winning a game on the road. Their only chance is to hold serve.
Steve?
I think it's going to go the full 5. I think that Perth knows exactly how pivotal this is. I think that they were really...
So you think Perth will win this one?
I think Perth will win this one. Wait a second. They are playing in Perth, right? Okay.
It is a 5-game series. You're right.
I know, right? I had to check, make sure it was in Perth. I just think that they know how crucial this is, because it's over. If they lose this one, it's over in what, 4? Yeah. Okay. All right. Then 3 wins and
so I think in Perth game 3, Melbourne game 4, and we're going to come back for a 5th game.
I think they know how vital it is, and they're going to come out like this is the series right here, this game, and I think they'll get it done.
Well, they will be favourites. They'll be expected to win.
Yeah.
They will be favourites. I'm saying that we've got the stats. They have to be favourites.
Shane says it's done in 4. Melbourne United going back-to-back. First team since St Kilda to get that done. First team out of Victoria to get it done back-to-back. Steve says we're going to 5 games.
5 games, Lockie Reed. Count them if you ain't got nothing better to do.
Did last week you say 4?
I think he said 3.
3. Oh, it was a 3-game sweep.
I thought that was an outtake. I was trying to be funny. Yeah.
Stay tuned. Game 3 Friday night.
Homicide.
Game 4 on Saturday.
We got homicide.
There's the calls from the experts.
Where's my shades?
Game 4, obviously Sunday, not Saturday. But it is time now for the 5 hottest issues. That's what you do when you make a mistake. Just pick it up and keep going. Starting 5, brought to you by Alcatel. The 5 hottest issues in the hoop right now. You good? You only got 24 seconds on this. You need to be sharp.
You guys are killing me on my math, so you got it wrong. I want everyone to know.
Steve, we're coming to you.
Okay.
Trevor Gleeson, most winning coach, taking them through to the grand final once again, doesn't have a contract.
Why does he get this one?
Because you've gone hard enough.
We've heard from you, mate.
Gone hard enough on Perth. Now it's my turn. No, Trevor Gleeson, they're going to say that the only reason they don't want to disrupt, they want to stay focused. I don't believe that. I think and I'm only speculating, this is only my opinion, but I think the only reason you don't sign probably the best coach in the competition, if it's not Dean Vickerman, it's Trevor Gleeson. The only reason you don't sign him is because maybe his strong personality doesn't get along with the front office. That's the only thing I can think of, because you would want to secure one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the competition. He wins every single year.
Has he got a college shot clock? Is that like 40 seconds?
What? Yeah.
Mate, I'm straight on the 24 seconds.
It's just good ball movement, getting it around, just waiting for an open shot.
Right.
Nice.
It's called setting it up,
just using
delivering
the shot clock, not panicking, just attacking late. Hey, while we're on coaching, let's move on to number 2. Shane, we come to you. You won a championship underneath him. Talk that the Sydney Kings might be bringing Brian Goorjian back.
Oh, go with the emoji. The emoji. How good would that be if Gorge came back? I mean, he's the best coach that I've played under in Australia, no doubt about that. Passionate, knows how to recruit, get the crowd involved, everything else. And I think if they can get Brian Goorjian, the Sydney Kings are well and truly back.
It's an exciting name to bring back
24/7.
into the mix. That's well and truly. We had more time. Early shot.
I went early, mate. I found a good shot along the way and I nailed it.
That was mid-shot clock. There's some coaches that won't let you shoot that.
I've been known to shoot it early in the shot clock.
In the middle 8, they won't like it. Next, we move on. Steve, we're coming back to you. Scheduling for the grand final. Game 1 and Game 3 had to be in Perth. 7:30 Perth time equates to 10:30 TV time for the East Coast.
Okay, all you basketball people out there, I'm just going to give you a chance to get upset with me. I didn't even watch Game 1. It was on too late. I'm getting old, baby. It was late. It was really late. I think probably the most important thing is get the most people to watch it. In Perth, I know you guys want it. Okay, I don't want to have to leave work too early. How about on a Saturday? We got to come up with some options here so the whole entire country can see it. That's my. I'm not ranting again. I'm just making a point. Why would you schedule? Why would you schedule a game that the whole country couldn't see?
I think
it's fair.
Just got it off in time. It's hard, obviously, juggling broadcast times and all these things, but it's unfortunate that it's so late. Game number 4. both games, record crowds. The cumulative number between game 1 and game 2, record crowds. So an issue with the time on TV, but great to see people rocking out the stadium.
Well, I think that's a big positive. That these two teams have such great support. So there's going to be record crowds of people at the game. I'm not sure that our crowds that are watching on TV are going to get those same sort of results. But the atmosphere in Melbourne was unbelievable, and the atmosphere is always great in Perth.
It's nice to have people showing up, and no doubt they will for game 3 and 4. We might get your thoughts on this after those games. But 2 games in, Steve, I'll come to you first. Who's the grand final MVP so far?
Ooh, boy, that's a tough one.
Shane, I'm going to give Steve some thinking time before the shot clock runs out.
One. It's different.
Director Dave, can we
Wait
get that thinking music as it goes? He wants to phone a friend. Here, mate, phone a friend. I'll answer it. I reckon that we're going to go with...
It's 2 games and things are going to go 5 games. Don't ask me that now. I don't want to be homicide and have to flip-flop, a couple of games from now.
Well, even though
this
Casper
kind of
Ware...
taking you a while.
Even though Casper Ware went 4 for 15, his defensive effort so far, he is an unbelievable defensive guard.
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching him and going, there's not too many players you look at and you go, I'm glad I'm not playing against him and he's chasing me around screens and stuff.
Are you saying
He is
that?
one of those guys that he is relentless. He is so impressive. Didn't shoot the ball well, but I think he's just been great so far. So he's still got to be the favourite.
Casper, where's your favourite? Steve, do you want to make a call or you just make yourself comfortable?
Oh, no, I agree with that point. But I'm going to hold on to my opinion because it's only the second game. I want to wait. At least ask me next game. Ask me after 3.
All right. That's the shot clock. That's the 5 hottest topics in hoop right there. The shot clock's off. Who is the toughest defender you've played against? Both of you?
I don't know. Well, in Australia, Jason Smith for sure. Because he's 6'4" and so strong and relentless, and he had a bit of nasty in him as well, which I like and respect. But he was always tough to play against.
Shout out to his niece, Alana, just getting most outstanding player.
She is amazing too. I think one game on Jason, I think I went off for 2 for 18.
2 for 18. It's a fair effort. Steve, anyone that stands out to you that just locked it up?
To me, Alvin Robertson. He played in the NBA and he was 6'4". What? Don't give me the answer.
Who's Alvin Robinson, mate?
I tell you what, he was on.
What about in Australia in the NBL?
No. I'm going to tell Shane. Shane asked me a question. I'm going to elaborate on this. When he played on the 1984 U.S. team, the guy was unbelievable. Played at Arkansas. Played for the Bucks. Played for San Antonio. This guy was an unbelievable defender. 6'4",
and
long arms. In Australia?
In the NBL, who stood out? Could anyone stop you?
You know what? I used to train against Isaac Burton, and he was tough. I could not shake him. I'd give him the double crossover, and he was like laughing, like, give me a challenge.
You were old.
Yeah.
I like it. Isaac Burton, you talk about 2-way guards too. Jason Smith, a couple of shout-outs there. Just a little bit of inside info. But that is all we've got time for this week.
Can't wait.
Grand final series.
Tune in.
Friday night, Perth.
Get a Red Bull in there.
Melbourne at game 4. Steve says it might go to 5 if you're lucky. Big thank you to our partners, Unibet, Alcatel, Daily Telegraph, and all their sister publications doing a great job of sharing all the news around the grand finals. The News Corp partners over in Melbourne and Perth especially, coming to you here from the throwbackstore.com.au. Before we say goodbye, any final thoughts, guys?
I think the show could probably use a good-looking female.
As host. Mate, that shine coming off the lights is killing us. How the fans get.
All right, that is all we've got time for. I'm Nathan Stremple. This is Shane Hill and Steve Carfino. Thanks for joining us for the basketball show. We'll be back next week, potentially crowning a new NBL champion.
Forgot the poke.